calling the meeting to order. My name is Cesar Joke. I'm the chair of the Environmental Justice and Sanitation Committee. Today is June 26th, 6 p.m. And we have one presentation for New York City Housing Authority. But first, making a motion here to switch the agenda to do all business. So making a motion. Everybody say yay. Huh? Oh, yeah.
Okay, I make a motion
Make a motion.
that what you want to take care of old business first?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion that we take care of the old business, because while we wait for the person to come, we can, might as well, I make a motion that we take care of the old business first.
Second person.
I second that motion.
Discussion on the motion.
Supported.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstention? Any discussion?
Nope.
Pass. Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, so I didn't want to make too many copies of this, but as you know, trying to do something called a green corps. So these are the designs of the T-shirts, right? And that's the logo right here, Green Corps Community Board 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the back of the T-shirt. It says, a green planet is a clean planet.
Mm-hmm.
So the purpose of this T-shirt is basically to increase education about waste in the community. So having community board members who want to volunteer, you go outside the community and we do like cleanups and also participate in community gardens, to do that, and then also educate people about waste, about not littering, and have more community participation. So ask community members to join in, and also other agencies like the Department of Sanitation. Come in with them and say, we're going to have this cleanup. Can you come in and have trash bags or whatever, just a truck to take the stuff out, recycle things as well. There's things out there that could be recycled, not everything is trash. So that, and also maybe right here, the NYCHA is here as well. So do things in NYCHA, waste stuff that's happening there. So with that, so I just put in, there will be a motion to it.
Right. Can I expand on that?
Yeah.
So I'm Anthony Jordan, District Manager to the Community Board. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our guests. So as the chair mentioned, this this committee is excited about the opportunity to being one of the first in the Bronx to be able to work on environmental and environmental justice and sanitation issues that relates to our district. We all have visited around the district where we have noticed that there is some need for working with our city partners to improve the cleaning of our district and being environmentally conscious, and also we have been, unfortunately, the most environmental injustice district in the city of New York. And the chair had talked to you guys in earlier conversations about how this committee will also engage not only in the work that we do at looking at waste transfer stations and other sanitation issues that relates to the district, but we have been in contact with the Sanitation Foundation that is working on a project in the very near future to help do cleanups around the Monterey section of the district. And in that, the chair wants to identify us as one of the first community board committees that we partnering doing that work. All of you have your environmental justice hats you wear in other organizations, and so here's CB1 also helping to brand the work that you do here with this agency. And so this shirt, in order for us to spend dollars that come from the community board office to purchase and develop and make, it has to come out of committee, that this is something designed that you guys all agree with, and has been a long-term vision for Chairperson York. to have this work out. And so I'm excited about the possibility of this going forward. I can't wait to wear my green shirt, but hopefully I get one, Chair, and we'll be able to go and be stewards in our community and show folks how to be good neighbors and sanitation and environmental justice. This is, I know we all are not here today. Folks are enjoying the early summer break soon. So but this is something that, as part of policy, we have to be approved outside the community, out of this committee. So I'm thankful for this to be able to talk to you, Chair.
Okay, so do you want, okay, I think that's wonderful. I love the design. And, the back, a green planet is a great, is a clean planet. Boy, the only thing, okay, I'm gonna pass a motion that we go along with the t-shirts, if I may do that, but, may I ask a question here?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
Caesar,
That's
I
right.
belong to the community garden, that's also part of District 1. And
Okay.
everybody there is gonna want one of these t-shirts. I'm gonna have to bring all the members of the garden a t-shirt also, but those are wonderful, okay? When I wear, but when we do our community day at the garden, I bet you they're gonna want one of those too, over there, especially the youth that we're gonna get there.
Well, I think the
And that's
chair is
all.
going to be, this is exclusive design for committee members and the
Oh.
committee vote was. So you guys have to encourage your group to become public members to the committee in the next season when we come back in September. And I'm sure that the chair will, if I, look over your requests.
Well, I pass a motion that we go ahead and get t-shirts about the greening of the planet.
It's designed, right? We gotta be.
Design exactly how it is. No one has any objections to the
Any
design.
objections to the design? No?
Looks good.
The design looks good. That's
Okay.
a green plant, it's a plant.
Are we wearing this chair only doing outside activity? I'm sorry, the discussion of the motion, I know the motion and the second. Well, you don't have to wear it when you come to committee meetings or board meetings if you want to. That's up to the chair. You might want to identify as folks. But when you definitely are engaging in activities that are part of cleanup or environmental justice activities around the district as a representative of the community. Is that correct, Chair?
Yes.
So anyone want to say, I guess, what was second?
Second the motion.
I second the motion.
Second the motion. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Well, we're gonna get t-shirts, those gonna be the first t-shirts of the community board. That's wonderful.
As long as Stephen finds somebody who.
You know?
And you look out to the distance of the.
That is great, wow.
Yes,
Thank you.
any other old business here?
You gotta get an extra large for me. 'Cause I like
Extra large one?
Yeah.
We will have different sizes.
I like 2 extras, because I like my church to be spacious, especially in the summertime. So, make sure you get large sizes and some small sizes too, but, that's gonna be wonderful. We're gonna have official community board 1 green, t-shirt. That's gonna be great.
So, any old business?
Yeah, I believe we brought this up last time. We were talking about the business owners around here. People got the business to clean up in front of their establishments. Because I know when I go downtown, below, even 125th Street, they'll be out there early in the morning throwing on water and bleach on the sidewalk in front of their place and tidying up the area. I know we got a situation down there, 149th Street, at that strat, that corridor around where they all be hanging out. And I know that Captain Foy, please mention something about this 27 Metroton clinics in the area. And I know a whole lot of these knuckleheads out here do not pick up behind themselves, but it breeds infestation, which is a health issue. But they refuse to clean up behind themselves. What we're talking about basically is for the business owners, since they're taking the money out and don't want to put nothing back in, just clean up in front of the businesses, especially the food establishments.
Okay. You said 149th Street and what?
Well, that happened between
The
Bergen,
whole section?
that whole strip between Bergen Avenue. Now, if it's going down to Brook Avenue, let's go from Brook Avenue all the way over to Mars Avenue. If you just stroll on both sides of the street, and even that garage that's been shut down for the past what, 15, 20 years, and so you shut it down, and so forth. That's been utilized. If you go over there at a certain time, people be camping out over there. I understand the vendors using that space to sell their merchandise, but then you got people camping out. They don't pick up behind themselves. They're camping out all over this place. But every time I walk out that building, where I live at 142nd and 3rd, and walk up to catch the train at 149th Street, you see them laying up there in the hallways, got their hands out and everything else, and then you see the mess they have left behind them. It's a mess. At least the food pantries clean up behind themselves. I give them credit for that. But
Yeah.
So thank you, Mr. Francis, and we have been definitely focusing on cleanliness around the district. We believe that cleanliness also does not only have a thing to do about economic development, but also mental health.
Mhm.
And if you walk and you the neighborhood and you see junk all over the place, we believe that jumps up your thoughts and your peace for the day. But if you walk around the district and you see there's cleanliness, you're more likely to shop. You're more likely to do a lot more other things. You're more likely to be more pleasant, and you're more likely to throw trash on the floor when you have something in your hand. So we agree with definitely what you're saying. We've been working. Our team has been working with the superintendent and the borough chief for Department of Sanitation. Well, we've been about the cleanliness in certain areas of the district that we've been focusing on. Mr. Service cabinet meetings, specifically around the hub area where there's overproliferation of folks that are dumping because illegal vending is happening, and this is people who are not taking care of it, and also focusing on the issue around the methadone clinic clients and others, neighbors who are likely contributing negatively to the situation. Depending on where you likely are talking about, and this is to the chair, if you don't have to take pictures, you can immediately call the office, give an address. We can definitely make sure that the secretary is focusing on it. I'm sorry, the superintendent is focusing on it, so that we can make sure that he's cleaning up and focusing on certain areas. The concern though that's been happening with the Department of Sanitation is they are unfortunately being cut back on some shifts to be able to continuously be able to focus on those problematic areas. They originally, this is what this superintendent explained to me. They originally come in, they do service to the Third Avenue area, frequently working with Third Avenue bid, but unfortunately gets jumped back up all over again. So they're investigating where there's illegal dumping, etc. As far as the vendor, or not the vendors, but the businesses, like you said, for them to take a real specific interest in making sure that you're sweeping outside the front of your building helps contribute to a positive, clean district. So I will definitely work with, as far as the Third Avenue is concerned, work with the executive director of Third Avenue bid to make sure that we focuses on those businesses within his catchment area to do that. The bid also has sanitation staff. Unfortunately, they're also limited. So it's hard to catch up, but it's part of our budgetary priorities to make sure that there's more resources inside the DSNY to assist where the Third Avenue bid is not been able to do so. But again, reiterating what I said originally, please make sure that you are, immediately calling the board office so we can be able to focus. We have a team that's here. Stephen is very good with his team to definitely make sure that we concentrate on constituent complaints and issues that come from board members expeditiously. So we invite you to please continue to do that.
Okay, one last issue. Pooper scooper.
You RG must have had a private meeting before this, right?
Nah, baby.
I've been
You see that the two-legged dogs out here don't want to pick up behind the four-legged dogs.
Yeah.
And that's a serious health issue right there. Especially those of us who live in public housing, because oh boy, I can understand about disability. But that it could have been worked out a whole lot better. You could take everybody who wants to have a pet, put them in one housing development, and those who don't want these animals in the area. Because look, I've been on a farm on a ranch. Animals live in their house, the humans live in their house. And when you walk out in the cow pasture, whatever you got on stays at the door. So these kids out here, they feel it's a joke to walk their dogs, especially down there in Mitchell House. They walk their dogs on the staircase. 'Cause I remember when I was doing political work down there, practically every floor, it's sediment, and so forth. And it's a mess. It's awful.
And can I say something, piggybacking a little bit on what you're saying, Mr. Francis, but one thing that I have seen happen is, let me give you an example. Here in Jackson Houses, across the street is a bunch of private houses. I will see those people walk their dogs and bring their dogs over to NYCHA, okay, to do their business and not even bother to pick up.
Right.
I remember back in the days, I grew up in NYCHA, okay? And there was a point in time in history when if a person did that, not only did they get a summons, not only did they get a fine, they used to pound that dog and take that animal away. That's how strict they were back then. I wish those good old fashioned rules and regulations would come on back. Okay, because technically speaking, it is the law to pick up after your dog. And I think I have been working, I wrote a letter to the Assemblywoman, Councilman Salamanca. The Melrose Awareness Environmental Committee is coming together on that also. About a group of us are coming together, going to the tenant associations and everything and trying to enforce the law.
Okay, I got you on that. I was told years ago that if you want to get the pets out the house development, all you gotta get is petition together and get 75% of the household, one who are legal residents there, heads the household, to sign off on it, and the pets are gone. And what unfortunately, the tenants association do not meet on a regular basis. And develop, do not meet on a regular basis. I remember before, even PSA, when I go to PSA 7, they're meeting right there. All their big concern right there is next fundraiser or some other stuff like that. Because I keep on telling them, why was housing police started in the first place back in 52? It was started for one reason only. The Constitution of the NYPD said that NYPD cannot patrol individual buildings. So they created housing police in 52. And what happened? Now they got more into a PSA 7, PSA 8. They don't patrol individual no more. And they don't even want to address that particular issue. A whole lot of this nonsense. Look here, I live on the 16th floor. And I got neighbors who got dogs that be barking half the night. I tune it out. I turn it on the radio. That's all.
So as far as the cleanliness of the pooper scoopers and so on,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to speak for our colleagues at NYCHA that's going to talk today about
Okay.
a host of sanitation related issues. I just want to say in my Troy district, I recognize that there are some developments that have little stations of pooper scooper bags or little bags that are around, and they encourage that. And whatever operations I'm sure might lead to when the agenda will accommodate them to talk about not only this issue, but a bunch of other issues around sanitation, around the NYCHA development. I understand that again, I believe sanitation and environmental justice is a mental health issue amongst a bunch of other stuff. And so again, if you see cleaner development, you feel better where you live. You see, and all other kind of a cleaner district. So what the rules are now, I'm sure that we can learn more once we hear back from the NYCHA representative to be able to discuss.
Well, Mr. Jordan, I understand where you come from, but basically what it comes down to is tenants association. 'Cause I remember each building used to have a building captain, a tenants association meeting every month, and also we had tenant patrol. All that done disappeared. There's none of that at all. I see my neighbors, people, only neighbor that speaks to me is the fellow lives across the hall for me that so we know we talk. But everybody else on that floor, boom. They only say greetings. How you doing?
I think that coming from the board, if we can establish a resolution, a campaign that we want to, what other issues around sanitation, around this for the NYCHA facilities, like you just said about the commercial districts in our district, we can be able to talk with folks and be able to make that a priority for cleanup. But it also helps, like with anything in the district, if you see someone, and I know that we don't want to approach our neighbors all the time because it may be a public safety issue, who is not contributing to the quality of life, the positive quality of life of where we live or our district, that we should, say something. Because literally, I've seen it that unfortunately that the pooper super station bag is right there, and the dog poops here, and then the owner walks right off. And so, unfortunately, but I think there's enough people say, like you said, it's an association, and others saying, these things available to you, or have them, and I don't know if there's signs saying, who pursued this bag station 2 minutes away, or four steps away, or 500, whatever, how creative it could be. Maybe that's an extra piece to add about it. But again, and maybe you could talk more about if the rules are people are allowed to walk their animal or their pet or within the development area, or so on. So, how often does that happen? So I just will learn more once the decision happens.
Archie mentioned something very crucial about enforcement, because I think in the NYCHA lease there's a 55-pound limit on the dog size. It's part of the lease.
25.
I think, I'm not sure if
25?
that was the one time it was something like that there was actually a limit as to how big the dog should.
25 pounds.
Huh?
25.
Yeah, but some of the dogs are
But they don't publicize
bigger than
that.
that. There's a lot of them out there.
Thank you.
So we have a mix of enforcement and also psychological stuff. And I was also going to ask you about street pits as well.
On NYCHA property?
No, like in general.
Right.
Street pits, because a lot of these street pits accumulate a lot of garbage. So I was trying to figure out
Oh, on that garbage thing, I remember before they had there was some kind of if you report illegal dumping or like you said, a pooper scooper, and they take them out of the court and find the individual, the person who did the reporting will get a percentage of the fine. Is that's still in effect right there?
Yeah, yes, that's for illegal dumping
Right.
is when somebody dumps from a vehicle
Mm-hmm.
and they dump in whether it's in the street or on property, not like in a container or whatever. Then it has to be 1 cubic yard or more.
Mhm.
And then they could, and they catch them. You have to get their general description,
Mhm.
license plate, fill out an affidavit, and you are correct that you're entitled to whatever they collected. Summons is like $5,000 right now. So you're entitled to $2,500 if they catch somebody. And people bring pictures. Obviously take pictures of license plates, things like that. I come from sanitation. I spent 32 years there, so I just have.
Okay, they publicized that for a while, and we're getting positive results on it. Then they stopped because one story that came up was about how these 3 college students financed their college tuition doing just that, taking pictures and catching people illegal dumping.
Sure.
And so forth. And you said you get 50% of the fine for grass, which is a heck of an incentive.
Yep.
Because the place was looking clean for quite a while until all of a sudden it stopped. Because people, for whatever reasons, lost interest.
On that. Okay. It's a variety. I remember China. You mentioned in one of our meetings that's happening on our ground. You got people who walk around 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, early in the morning to collect the 5 cents of the bottles and the cans. They will take and dump all the garbage on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, in order to get the plastic, the bottle caps, and for the 5 cents, and leave that mess there. Okay, so they will, literally speaking, turn that garbage can upside down, okay, and leave that garbage a mess over there in order to collect their 5 cents. I see it happens all the time. Okay.
That's why in the NYCHA and our recycling pails we have locks.
Yeah.
We have locks. So when you do, we have a lock on there so that we don't have the pickers. They don't come to our property because they can't get in there.
No.
It's only what they can see or take off the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the open bins that are in like the park area, the open receptacles that are obviously which obviously you're not going to start locking those because that's actually available to the public.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Again, I wish the law could start getting enforced.
Well, see, here's
when it comes to loitering.
Here's the difficulty with that. It comes down to personnel and deployment of the personnel. At one time, John Lindsay, when he was mayor, and so what he did, I'm not sure to say John Lindsay, because what he did especially with transit, I'm just sitting on running about what he did on transit, he cut the trains down to 5 after 9 o'clock at night and put a police officer on them 5-car trains. And next we know, boom, report incidents in the subway system went down. And then same through the bus system. He had officers trailing them buses and so forth. Stopped a whole lot of nonsense there too. But a whole lot of that policy don't switched up. It's not anymore. And then it comes down to the residents. A whole lot of people just don't want to get involved. They said, seriously, but a whole lot of people sit on later for it. The whole quality of life deteriorates. That's what we're here for. How come we're going to pick on? By informing people that any neighborhood you go to in this whole country, the reason why the quality of life is so good, because people say you're not going to do that here. I witnessed that myself personally. On the floor I live on once again. In that case, somebody said, look at me, you don't live on this floor, take this mess back to the floor you live on. And you don't like it, take it up with management.
Do you know the time of arrival? Question.
But we having a conversation.
Can you move forward without?
Yeah, we could have moved forward. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. We could have at the beginning.
For sure.
Okay, I appreciate that.
At the outset.
Okay, I apologize for taking up time.
No.
Thank you.
Sure,
We're
meeting.
gonna
I
address
love
it.
the conversation.
That's the plan.
Yeah, we'll address it
That's
right
you
now.
guys are probably gonna address
Well,
it.
yeah, we'll address a lot of it, yeah. So,
Introduction, please.
absolutely.
On this FYI, our meetings are being broadcast live on our YouTube channel, page, and social media, and we were excited about the upgrade in our systems. So the owl is actual camera. The camera, and you catch it catches your face directly, and you don't have to move around with the other camera system we have. So we're excited with the team was able to find that and walk.
There's the camera right here.
Thank you, Chair.
So don't pick my nose.
Yes,
All right. So anyway, so I'm on that. So I'm Keith Grossman. I'm the Executive Vice President of Operations Support Services at NYCHA. I oversee, amongst other departments, waste management. And to my right,
Al Ferguson, I'm the Vice President of Waste Management Operations for all of NYCHA. To give you a little background, that before coming here 5 years ago, I worked for the Department of Sanitation for 32 years. I started off as a sanitation worker, worked my way through the ranks, and when I left the job, I was Chief of Citywide Collection, Recycling, and Containerization.
The former Commissioner John Dotter.
Yes, he was my mentor.
But yes, John was the king of sanitation for a long time, in my opinion. He knew the system backward and forward, and probably created most of the policies.
Yes.
no, nobody over here is disagreeing with you. For sure. So, I'm seeing some of your questions. Just we put together some notes for you all. Right?
We definitely share the notes.
Sure, I can go over them,
You guys
and then
got
if
a
you want to.
question, right? So we kind of go through them a little bit.
Everybody have it? Everybody has a presentation?
Everybody have
Yeah.
So we go over.
Yeah. So essentially, just at the outset, we were placed under a monitorship in 2019, very publicly, right? One of the facets of that was, or the pillars, as they call it in the agreement, is waste management, right? And how we do that. So, to this point, while we've made a lot of progress on the other pillars, speaking specifically about waste management, it's actually the only the agreement stated that we had to containerize, all of our trash at some point, right? So it would go from the household to a secondary collection point to a containerized area off the property, on the property staging for pickup for sanitation, right? So the monitor, HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, recognized us as meeting that requirement. Now, I know that there's some challenges throughout. By no means is it perfect. One of our goals is to kind of enhance that on-property collection, right? A lot of the stuff that you were talking about, there are animal bags on every property, right? That's one area that we want to focus on. You mentioned resident associations. We go out and do a lot of work on education and promoting Recycle First programs throughout the city with resident associations. And when we find an area where there's excessive trash on the floor in front of a building, we work with them to increase the containerization options outside that building, right? So the main goal of this is to get it into a container that is rat proof and get it off the property as quickly as possible. In that case, in that respect, we've been a lot better. By no means perfect. Like I said, the goal of generalized, really widespread containerization across the authority, leading to reduced wrap burrow numbers and all that. In that respect, we've met the agreement. We're not done. We met what the agreement says, and we're going to keep working on that. The last piece for me is, there was a lot of centralizing waste management and the program elements under an obvious subject matter expert and Al and his team. One of the great things they did was they actually, for each specific waste stream and each type of container, right, different tools used to clear the property, we put all of that into what we call the waste assets catalog. So essentially this is like inside baseball and nitro, but we have these, they're called HA numbers. It's our catalog number in our online system. So all of that was compiled into one booklet. So every property manager electronically can view this booklet and pick whatever they need. You need bags for organics. These are the bags for organics. This is where you get them from. This is the HA number. You need bags for general trash, recycling. You need a new recycling bin. You need new containers. You need whatever. We do all that. And we made that readily available. So instead of trying to figure it out and search for it and delaying the process, we're able to pick up some of those items really quickly on a property, right? Everything that you could possibly think of to collect and store and remove garbage, we put that all in one place. So you're like, oh, I need a new fork for one of our machines so that I can move bulk waste. Go in the catalog and you find it there. So the other thing is, I heard somebody talk about illegal dumping. I don't know how I was going to get into this as well, but the last high level point at the outset is we've been working a lot with sanitation on illegal dumping, and we've identified our most critical sites in this community board. As you get to, Patterson, Mitchell, and Adams were amongst them. There was a lot of illegal dumping there, and we've actually had some summonses issued as a result of this. A number of summonses issued as a result of this, right? So we're doing surveillance, both in person and camera, right? And we're doing a lot of these different things, working with our partners there to reduce outside folks coming in and dropping trash on our properties. And again, that all leads to less waste on the floor, rodent population control. One of the things that you brought about, wild animals, we have a group that does that focuses on that. Either trapping and releasing or relocating, anything from a possum to a feral cat, right? And we do this, we work with an animal welfare group that does this humanely for us. So we're not using the folks who kill rats to remove, wild household animals, right? We don't want to do that. That's kind of some of the high level stuff we're doing. Equipment upgrades. We're doing Melrose in particular. We just put in new auger compactors there. We're working on the Jackson and MAR waste yards currently as a capital improvement, and we're just trying to make as wide an impact as we can to our infrastructure. Like I said, just getting garbage off the ground into a container. And that's really the high level view. We're continuing that program in so many ways. Al has significantly more to say, right? We have a lot. You can see this is a lot of work. This is this is kind of the tip of the iceberg too. It's not just even the day-to-day of going to a property and seeing how we can help them be more effective with just removing waste and moving one container from one place to another, or switching the type of container. We're doing a lot of that work, and it really does show in the numbers, right? I know, excuse me.
Let's go.
Really, please excuse me. One of my employees was in an accident earlier. I just want to do this recording. I'm just gonna go check on him, and I'll turn it over to Al. You're in good hands. He knows more about garbage than I do.
Let me ask you one question. Shoot. No, this,
Ask questions after.
no, you want to ask a question.
You ask after your presentation?
Yeah.
After the presentation?
After the presentation.
Can you
Okay.
write it down, can you write the question down and ask him?
No, I got it up here.
Okay, there you go. It's written down.
I'll stay as long as you need me to stay. I'll
No,
answer
no,
any
don't stay
questions
that
anybody-
long. Don't
That's
stay
why
that
I'm here.
Now I got that chicken involved, and so I want to heat that up and munch on it. Baked chicken with honey barbecue sauce on it. Oh.
I've been in this business a long time. And, you know, I try to bring everything that I learned with sanitation. I held a lot of different roles and responsibilities. My mentor was John Doherty, who was relentless. He was sanitation, right? He is, and his passing, that was very sad. But you know, learned a lot, and he was steadfast, and he would never ever give up, and that's what I try to bring along with me to my people as well, because we can make incremental change. It won't be perfect. We can't guarantee perfection to anybody. You know, we could just say we're on our way to getting better and better each time. So I just want to give you a general sense, and you know, and I'm gonna, you know, stuff to go through all your topics. Just as far as to give you a general sense of waste in general. NYCHA generates approximately 250,000 tons of waste annually each year. I'm not sure if you know, the NYCHA stat is that 1 in 16 New Yorkers live in public housing. You wouldn't know necessarily by housing. We know by the distinctive housing buildings, but we don't know about the places that could have been, hey, Brian, that were taken over in Manhattan in the 70s and in different times. So just as far as bulk waste goes, since I started here, they used to take, I'm just giving you a citywide number, and I know we're in community one, but this should give you a breath. And I will tell you that it is, even locally, it's applicable. We increased 50% of the amount of bulk containers of garbage removed from our developments. I couldn't even have imagined. We used to do about 850. Now we're doing 1,270 on average. Okay, citywide. All right, that's each month. Right, it used to be 850 a month, and now we're doing 1,270. Getting, you know, removing the bulk off the property. That's that alone. And each one of those containers has like 2.5 tons of material in it. Something new, something on the horizon that we have for the NYCHA developments is the scorecard inspection team, where we actually have standards for everything that you were talking about: stairwells, front entrances, walkways, the waste yards, you know, everything on the property. All the areas of the property are going to be inspected and rated, and our workers, our inspectors, will be working with property management to make sure that if they feel that they're not doing something properly, they're going to work with them to figure out how to do it. You know, instead of just giving somebody a bad grade, that doesn't help somebody. I just gave you a 50. That doesn't help you. Now, if I give you a 50 and tell you how to get 100, then that is what our job is. That is what our mission is. That's what our goal is. We develop individual waste action plans. Waste management department sits with every development. That means the property manager, the superintendent, the supervisor caretaker, supervisor of grounds, as well as any other staff they want to invite to discuss waste. And we have structured questions. It's not just, hey, let's hang out here and talk about waste. It's structured questions on all the areas that we found that are challenging through the years. And we make sure, how are they addressing it? Do they have enough? Do they have what they need? And one of these early on, the first time we did this 5 years ago, it was bulk waste. The culture was the property managers and superintendents were afraid to ask for resources. They were always short on resources, so they were afraid to ask. But because of our partnership with Sanitation, they said, oh, no problem, I'll give you more tickets. You had 850 a month, they increased my tickets to 1,250 over time. But you have to prove that you use them, right? You can't just say, I want a whole lot, and then you don't use them every month. We showed people, we worked with developments to show them how to remove the waste. And as Keith had mentioned before, the goal of waste management is to move it off the property as soon as it's generated. If we can containerize it and then get it out off the property as soon as possible. And I'm happy to inform you also that NYCHA, we just had a meeting with the Commissioner of Sanitation, I'm gonna say like 6 weeks ago, maybe a month, 2 months ago. And she indicated that we were leaps and bounds above and beyond everybody in terms of containerization, right? Because that's one of her goals. I don't know if you've seen that, Jessica Tish, one of her things is to containerize and put containers in the street and have people put containers out there. That when she came to NYCHA, she thought that, that we would need a lot of these things and help. And we either have the containers or we use nearby developments to deliver there. Again, to take bags and anything that lays on the property that could actually promote rodents, any kind of rodent activity. What you were alluding to before, I know we're working on a garbage disposal, improper garbage disposal policy that I don't have an exact implementation date. I think it's going to be might be in the fall of 2024. But right now, I know tentatively that for anybody that improperly disposes of, like, throws garbage out the window, things like that, and you have to be observed doing it like that. They see that it was, on the G line, it was apartment 3, or that the first time would be a warning for the first infraction, $15 for the second infraction within 3 months, and then $25 for the third and any future infractions that they have. So that's something that we're working on. We always encourage people to use the chutes. We know that they're limited in size. As you know, that you can only fit like up to 4 gallons of material, like the old little shopping bags that, the plastic shopping bags that were banned. That was kind of the only thing that would really fit. And next thing, recycling and sustainability programs. I mean, you can start if you have any questions. You want me just to go to the
Keep going with the presentation, and at the end we ask questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I just want to give you an opportunity if you had something you want to say. We have this program called, that I began, it's called Recycle First. And something a lot of people don't realize necessarily is a lot of the material that is, whether it's thrown out a window or thrown on the property or left on the property or near a playground and bottles thrown around, I would say 90 to 95% of that material is recyclable. Yeah. So what we've done is we've replaced black bags at developments with clear bags. Mm-hmm. So when you go to pick it up, that you actually just have it, and now you have a bag of recyclables. So it's something that when I was with Sanitation, we implemented with the Department of Education. that they were recycling inside the school, and it didn't always make it out to the curb because it ended up in black bags and a lot of different things. So we said, okay, now you use only clear bags. So it's kind of the honesty policy that we keep everybody honest, because whatever's in that bag, if it's garbage, it goes in a clear bag. If it's recycling, it goes in a clear bag, but there's a space for recycling and there's a place for garbage. As well as cardboard generally gets bundled and baled, things like that. So it's called, that program is called Recycle First. And that is something that we've been rolling out to developments. And I know I hope to get through within the next year or so, get through the Bronx and make sure that everybody, because that's for things that are just laying around the property, and then also to enhance the resident education on where to put it. And we mentioned that about the recycling stations, that we have locks on recycling stations so that people don't go in there, the pickers, and they just dump everything out. And that's something that I saw when I first got here, that people weren't putting the locks back on because it was easy to service the containers every day. But the problem is then the whole bag would be pulled, and then all the garbage would get thrown in there in an empty space and gave the caretakers more work to do. The next thing is mattress recycling. That NYCHA is Mitchell Houses has been recycling mattresses since August 2021. Mott Haven since July 2021. We have a mattress recycling program where, believe it or not, you get a sense of how many mattresses are out there as well. The average mattress lasts the person about 7 to 10 years. So you get a sense of how many residents are, in a given building. And we generally just divide it by 10 and we figure out how many mattresses are generated a month. And we put containers either on a property, depending on the footprint. If we have room, it'll either be on that property or it'll be on another property where they would deliver the mattresses, to that locations, and we're recycling mattresses. We've been able to recycle 80% of them because if they're soiled, or there's some kind of infestation, or there's a reason why it was kind of set out there to begin with, we'll discard that as refuse, and then the other ones are actually recycled. We bring it to a vendor to recycle. So we're up to about 1,100 tons of mattresses so far. So it's a pretty successful program, and Department of Sanitation doesn't have that yet. But it's something that we've done on our own.
Before we jump on to the next one, it's going to take us to the next page. Is there any questions or anything that we haven't gotten to that you want us to focus on?
The chair is going to recognize questions at the end of the presentation.
Oh, I was asking.
When you went out here.
Oh,
yeah, you can see that.
you did the same thing?
Yeah.
All right. See, great minds.
Yeah.
We had the same thing. But I don't want to go too far. I might have put too much stuff in here. But just to give you another sense of what we're doing, I'm going to try to go as fast as I can, but I want you to slow me down if I'm going too fast, because I want to respect everybody's time as well, right? Everybody budgeted a certain amount of time. Yard waste is coming to the Bronx in the fall of 2024, so that yard waste is grass clippings, leaves, tree branches, any kind of garden waste, weeds, plant trimmings, garden debris, things like that. That will be coming to in the fall of 2024. As for sanitation, we haven't gotten anything like super official, but that's a projected date of that in order to make us, citywide yard waste program. And we do have it in the other 4 boroughs. We do have it actually. We don't have it in Manhattan and the Bronx right now. Everywhere else we have it. And Manhattan doesn't have that much, to begin with. So that's one of our recycling programs.
We have, on the next page, so we have Patterson's yard waste collection with compost power since fall 2023. It's a 3-bin composting farm. We have a mulching attachment kit for St. Mary's, so our staff can do that. There was a little bit of a pilot, and the rollout's beginning in fall of
It's
2024.
been a success.
And it's been
Tremendous
great.
success.
Yeah. So we're rolling it out citywide. So
It saves caretaker time of picking up the, instead of mowing lawn and, going through that whole process, that when you mow it, it stays there instead of having to go and have to pick it up and
and
things
you're
like
creating
that.
additional waste streams, right? Yeah, and it's like to Al's point, it's been so successful that we're actually rolling it out citywide, and then they're same thing at Adams, right? So
Adams.
those are the two locations where it's at, and like I said, it was something that we're excited to roll out to our grounds programs.
Okay. Paint recycling. We actually are recycling. We recycle. We have a vendor that's recycling for free.
Mm.
It's something that's the state organized. We're contacted by the state, and so that we basically get all the paint at our developments are picked up free of charge. Latex, oil paint. So we just have a certain amount of certain quantity limit. They want like 100 cans, and they don't have to be full, just like 100 cans. So we do move it from development to development to make sure we satisfy that and get it off the property. It's a way of also getting rid of things and recycling it as well.
Tremendous cost savings too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We don't have to, we don't have to pay a vendor to get especially like oil paint is tough. And sanitation has limited, if you're familiar with their special waste sites, that it's limited capacity, limited days. They've cut back so much stuff that this is on demand. You just call, make an appointment, and it's done. It's been great.
I'll do the next one.
Yep.
Yeah. So I said waste management amongst other things. One of the other things is pest management that I oversee. So it's waste management, pest management, heating, elevators, emergency services, and learning and development. Those are my departments. So pest management. Again, always encourage residents to put in work orders. One of the interesting trends that we started to see is as we're increasing our use of integrated pest management, which is kind of a widespread. Everybody's involved in controlling the pest population between caretaker and so from the caretaker to the resident so since everybody's been doing that. What we've seen is a decrease in resident complaints and an increase in our follow-ups, which is really where we want to be, right? We want to know that we're seeing complaints from residents and we're handling those. We really don't have resident complaints, with the exception of like court cases and some mold related also court cases. Our backlog to respond to a pest ticket it's within 30 days, and we're responding to like 95% of rat and apartment tickets in under 2 days. So we can make these work orders for public space and apartments, right? And we have exterminators that visit the development at least once every 2 weeks. We do public space every Wednesday to ensure that we're addressing bait stations, right? So one of our treatment methods is you see those black boxes outside of a building. Those are filled with bait, not harmful to humans, but bait. We indicate those, throughout. We have those laid out throughout the property in proximity to rat burrows, and then we also have rat ice and rat CO2, right, which was a big initiative from the Rat Czar team. They asked us to pilot it. It's been going pretty well. We're looking to increase our use of rat ice, which is essentially dry ice. Again, not lethal, put it in the ground, compound found in nature, right, and it works. So, and that's in addition to the usual snap traps and just collapsing the areas where rats live in burrows. Some other stuff that we did that's interesting is we have these specialized teams now, specifically a rat team in every borough that focuses specifically only on rat complaints, right? So they're like our subject matter experts on that. They go around to either high level infestations, They'll handle initial contact with an initial complaint for rats in apartments, and so far it's been going pretty well. They're getting there in about 1 business day. The last piece of it is, we're working with the Department of Health, the rat mitigation team, the rat SAR team at City Hall, and the last piece of it is they're both under the support services umbrella of my teams, and we're meeting regularly and working together to try to do this. So the reduction of waste leads to reduction of rats, leads to a better experience for our residents, and that's the purpose of this whole thing. So that's kind of it as far as the high level look at pest management. Obviously, if you have any questions at the end, we'll take them. And then green spaces. What are you talking about?
Okay. Just also on that, with the monthly inspections done by the health department, we do have we do have monthly meetings with the rodent. We have a rodent mitigation task force. Since that we actually look at all the findings from the health department when they go in there. Their inspectors go in and they'll let us know if there were maybe a problem with like uncovered receptacles in a certain area, or it's a way of us using the technology actually they put little pins on the map as they go out there and they do an inspections so that we can look at it and see areas that have chronic issues, chronic problems. So, we determine if not, is this something the staff is doing? Is it something residents are doing? Things to help us kind of work on solutions. It's not just about rating everything. It's about solving the problem and making improving the quality of life, the conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll add to that as a segue to the next one. The pest team does more than just extermination and treatment. One of the things they do is work with some of the green space creators to try to create a pest-proof environment, right? So, like, how do we allow? Obviously, we want plant growth and we want residents to have access to these. As you can see from here, there's a lot of them, right? Patterson Houses has one. MAR has a sensory playground, right? And there's also some community gardens at Patterson, more at Melrose. And in those spaces, what we do is work with the community on, the resident community on how to practice this, right? So we'll put, underneath the bed, right, that they're doing plantings, we'll put some wire lathe, right, to make it a kind of a rat-proof type space. And there's certain plants that are attractive to pests, and we just ask them to not plant them. So on as far as the maintenance work on those, the residents, I got to the last page. As far as the maintenance work on the gardens, the residents work with the property to maintain those spaces. If they need some serious trimming of a plant, we'll assist them on that. But for the most part, it's a fully resident run and managed location. And then the green spaces like playground areas and larger landscaping that NYCHA owns, that's just part of the property and the development. The property management ground staff will handle that. There's an application to do this. Once we are able to approve that space, right, it has to be something, we want to inspect it to make sure it's not toxic and, right, go through the whole background of the space. Maybe if there's some infrastructure underneath it, we don't want to dig too far down. So make sure there's no steam lines or something, right? So we do that, and then once the garden is approved, NYCHA Resident Health Initiatives and partner organizations will work with the residents to grow that garden. we have the Helmsley Foundation invited NYCHA to request a grant proposal, and we propose locations including Patterson based on resiliency, crime, health data, and some of the open space conditions, right, that we do in that background review. Some of those open space conditions of the developments. MAR was granted. The MAR grant was planned and submitted in collaboration with the RA president. She was the prime driver of the project, Ms. Pedler. And then there are 9 farms managed by community partners, including 2 in the Bronx, 1 at Forest, managed by Green City Force, and at Castle Hill by New York Botanical Gardens. Our goal is to expand to 15 farms citywide, and that would put a minimum of 2 in each borough. And then we also have some partnership organizations who, some community-based organizations who help us manage farms. We've included the guidelines for your information if you need it. And then you want to close out with the capital.
Yep, on the capital upgrades at Adams, we upgraded 7 interior compactors in May of last year. We replaced an interior compactor at Millbrook Extension, same time last year. And then MAR, Keith had mentioned, has the state-of-the-art, the first of its kind, actually, for NYCHA. It is a plan that I developed when I was at Sanitation, and I'm happy to say that it was implemented here, and we, it is basically an auger compactor, looks like a big screw, and it's like the old pencil sharpeners, right? If I'm dating myself, that when you take off the thing, you could see the grinders, the way it works like that. That's kind of how an auger works. And it shreds everything, so it gives you more capacity. So you don't have to put like 5 exterior compactors on the property. You could have 3 augers. You want a little redundancy in case something doesn't work or whatever over the years. So instead of like the footprint being filled with a bunch of exterior compactors that right now they hold about like 7 tons, these augers can hold 12 to 15 tons, and so we can use less of them. Again, and it's actually something you're not dealing with hydraulic fluid. You don't have to deal with that. It's all basically electric, and it's great. It's easier to maintain overall, harder to break, but somebody will always find a way. But we're really excited about this. This is the first of its kind, and this one is indoors, actually, which is going to extend its life as well. So that's it. That's what we have as far as the presentation. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions, Francis?
Yeah, only one. This happened a while back. I remember the sanitation problem. They were doing nighttime pickups, but they stopped because people complained about the noise. That's when they had them old metal cans out there. But metal cans practically gone now. Because they talk about traffic congestion and everything. That's why they were doing the nighttime pickups to avoid the traffic. And you thought about coming back and picking this garbage up and leaving at night?
So they are back to doing it. What you're not seeing is that we've reduced. They are doing it on the overnight. That's primarily what they're doing. The reason you're not seeing it as much is because we're centralized. We're removing the waste from that curbside pickup and moving it into a bulk centralized staging area away from everybody. So it's less of a disruption. And it's just they come, they pick up a container, and they go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about the multi situation that's going on, which I think is great. You have a 3-bin composing in Patterson. At St. Mary's, there's a mulching attachment kit. And that's going to start in 2024 in the fall?
No, that's being rolled out everywhere in 2024. Those 3 locations were where we were piloting. We were piloting this to see how effective it was.
There were 26 locations that were piloted.
I see.
So this is,
they were
just the 3.
So there's going to be one in each development now?
We're gonna start to roll out.
Eventually,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, well,
Eventually.
yeah, and my reason for asking that question is because I noticed, like, especially like during the holiday, you know, after Christmas, there's so many people just dumping their pine trees out there, you know, and that was even causing an obstruction
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of how bad it got
Well,
for a while.
that's a different story, and that's part of our bulk programs that we're
Okay.
talking about.
That's not covered in the mulching.
It's not covered in the mulching.
That's more, I know you're talking, like the Parks Department has
And the
the,
Parks
uh,
Department, I know, for example, one of our
they have the
gardens.
chippers.
Yes,
that they have
and we
on
would have
something like
mulching
that.
day. We actually, in January, created a mulching day when residences and people from the neighborhood could bring their pine trees and
Right.
everything else and start. So I'm wondering what this is actually about and how accessible is this directly towards the residences on
So-
that level. That's what I'm
So
talking
the
about.
mulching you're talking about? Oh no, so that's just part of, we're doing this as part of our grounds work.
I see.
So, I mean,
I get it.
as far as the
Okay.
resident experience,
It doesn't really exist.
well,
Correct.
it does, I mean, it does, where the grounds hopefully look better.
Mhm.
Right, we're making them more welcoming. But as far as there's less bags of grass around.
Mhm.
You know, you're not seeing like the large like clumps, right? It's actually mulching it. It's where
Yeah.
it's a much more like we're essentially using the soil, what's existing as soil. So we're not buying mulch, we're not buying as much fertilizer. We're not doing that. So
When the leaves come down, you know, basically the mulching mowers have like a second set of blades
Yes.
to further refine it, to
Okay.
keep it down, shred it into like little bits and pieces.
Okay.
So and that's what the upgrades are. You know,
I
that
see.
our mowers,
I see.
zero turn, the smaller mowers, the larger mowers, they're gonna get it so that it's good for the soil.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Because it can turn into a composting
that's right.
also, and
Essentially,
replenish
right.
soil.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Just one more question, if I may. The situation with the rat
Yeah.
and the pest management. And I myself have gone to the Rat Academy. We have a czar. We have a rat czar.
That's right.
Mhm.
And I had a chance to meet her. And one of the main situations happening in NYCHA is when it comes to the rats in apartments is the plastering issue. Okay, and I think it goes hand in hand because many of the residences, on account of having those holes in their wall, literally speaking, there are residences with holes in the wall with improper maintenance, and that plastering situation has a lot to do with why the rats are getting into the apartments.
Yeah, agreed.
What is the venue toward? Because if we're talking about a rat team directly within the apartments, the only way that could be remedied is by getting behind the maintenance issue of the actual plastering in these apartments.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is, as part of our pest management team, there is a maintenance team. We have folks on the pest management team who do the maintenance work. So we'll do treatment. We'll identify if there's any exclusion work, is what we call it, exclusion work, where we're closing up a hole. If there's any exclusionary work that has to be done for it, and then we will follow with our maintenance team to make a temporary patch of that wall with a rat-proof material.
Okay.
Now, that's not the final fix, but we'll then create follow-ups for plastering to do that. And in our follow-up appointments for extermination, we will replace, repair, and do that. The nice thing about the temporary thing is, as we're doing treatment, we can still keep doing treatment through that temporary repair without truly damaging the wall. So again, as part of that integrated, right, we're integrating all facets of it. It's not just the treatment and the removal of a pest. It's actually like we're getting to the root cause of it. So we're identifying roots of entry and trying to eliminate those as we go through.
And it's not only rats. Integrated
It's every
pest management
pest, right?
is everything. Like you have on your sink. You know, you have when your pipes go into the wall, you have those little metal things that slide. You know, they always end up coming. Part of the IPM is that you seal.
Yeah.
That they seal that to make sure that if there happens to be an infestation in another apartment, that it doesn't come in and basically it seals everybody down. And when they go into the department to do something, they check everything. They don't just say, I'm working on this little corner. They said, while I'm here, I'm going to get everything. And that's why the tickets, it takes them time. Sometimes it could take 30 minutes. Sometimes it could take them an hour and 30 minutes, depending on, they check the other rooms. If they're in there for the kitchen, but they also check the bedrooms and the living room at the same time. So listen, let's pest proof this apartment while we're at it, because we don't always know what the root cause is. It might be above, below, left, right.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's identifying the root cause and eliminating them.
Okay, thank you.
I have a few questions. I'm curious, do the tenants send tickets directly to you, or is it through their management?
So
The CCC.
yeah.
They call the call center. We have a central line. They call the call center and they give them the ticket number. And depending on what the issue is, so say if it was a repair issue, you would have a maintenance person come in, verify it, and then have a skilled trade. Or for something like this, Al's team or somebody on Keith's team, because almost everything's on the Keith, would go and take it out. And years ago, so a lot of longtime residents will tell you, like, they remember the days when you would call down to the property management, office, and it seemed a lot more personalized at that time because you had a relationship with the manager, you had a relationship with the super. Understandable, very, but at the same time, the ticket system gives us an ability to have accountability with the staff too. It also eliminates favoritism. Let's face it, if you get along with the manager, you get your repair done faster. If you don't, it's nameless.
Yeah,
It's just a
makes
number.
sense
Yeah.
to have direct
So,
conversations.
A lot of people get frustrated with the call center, but it's, in my experience, it's not so much the call center itself. The call center itself is actually pretty good. Sometimes they get frustrated by the answers they're given. So, for instance, plastering. Plastering is a lost art. Everyone uses drywall now. So it's one of the trades where we probably have the fewest number of folks, when comparing all trades. So if you need a plaster, and it's tough to do, it may take weeks, months, some cases, and that gets people really frustrated. But it's not the center itself. The system itself is pretty good, but it's the it's the wait time.
Sorry for the interruption. Brian, can you identify yourself for the record?
Oh yeah, sure. My name is Brian Honan. I work for Anthony Jordan, and No, I'm Nature Intergovernmental.
Okay, thanks. Oh wait, can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Sorry. I have two more questions, and they're quick though. But the rating system, aside from like a rating and then steps to improve, what are the consequences? And is that towards the management team, the consequences, or is it directly towards the tenant causing the rating system to fail?
So there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things. It's not meant to be punitive. If during our investigation of follow-up we find that there is something going wrong, that is corrected through the process. Somebody's like actively making a mess, they have that. The process is meant to be constructive and bring people to the table, right? So you can compare yourself to other properties like you and near you, and yourself over time. So we were below that average mark of 3 of just clean and good garbage collection. We were in the 2 range. Now we're in the 3 range, right? And that's where we want to be. So the collaboration is with residents. There is collaboration with the property management team, the grounds team, and we want to bring all those groups together to really get to this point. That's where the individualized waste action plan comes from. So we're doing that. The other piece is, as far as like policies and throwing out the windows, like, so I know Al got through this while I was outside, but we are implementing some new garbage disposal policies to try to deter that, and that will go through the tenancy process. So they're kind of 2 different things, like violating a night rule versus the scorecard system is meant to be a constructive improvement program. And honestly, it really, we've gone up, a full point over the year, and we're re-implementing that, and it's really been a great program. Like, it provides assistance to, you just think my job is to go pick up the garbage and move it here, and then somebody else comes and get it. But if that schedule's a little off and that ground contact time with the garbage is too much, then it creates additional problems.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem.
And then last question, so you had mentioned earlier that like the sizes of niches are, there's a huge spectrum of like 3 stories and then 30 stories. Does DOS pick up more frequently to those larger buildings, and is it like every single day, or how does that type of transaction work?
That's a great question. We're container, like for the Bronx especially, where basically all refuse is containerized here, that it ends up in a container. So we get service based on the need. The great thing about, the secret about containerization, right, and you heard this here first, is that containerization, when it's full, you have no other choice. So, it has to be serviced. When you're dealing with house-to-house collection, that you're only going to get 2 or 3 times service a week, right? And they'll just say there's more sidewalk, or there's more, or get more pails, or something like that. When you're dealing with a containerized environment and a multiple dwelling, that sanitation makes sure that when you're going to go into a snowstorm, they hit some of the developments that they know are generating so much garbage. They go and get more containers. They said, listen, they have 5 containers there. Make sure we get 2 of them tonight before we get into the snowstorm. So they're kind of like, I don't want to say special attention, but it's because they serve so many people, and it's a matter of 2 containers. And when you run out of space, you got to start leaving garbage all over, and that's just not good at all. And it's the first thing restored after a snowstorm is containerization. The most major snowstorm you have, the first thing you restore is containerization, again, for the same reason, because you have no other choice. So for so many reasons, containerizations and the pest-proof nature of containers and stuff, it's a great way. But great question, so.
I had a list of questions here. One of them has to do with, I think you had a pilot project in Coney Island. I think that with trucks, electrification of trucks or something like that.
Mechanized waste collection. So where sanitation is starting a similar program, and we're gonna ours was a little bit different from theirs, which is going to be a lot more widespread. So we're actually going to go with their program and allow sanitation to implement and control it. There's some issues with like the vehicle itself, and so we're really working back and forth on how to implement that program on a large scale. But I believe we're going to defer to sanitation on that in the long run. So that's on hold for now while we figure out the details and how that funding moves around.
Yes, but I think the last time they were talking about they were having problems with storage and electricity, right?
There were 2 issues.
Trucks, things like that.
Yeah, the drivetrain on the truck, and
right.
The Mac couldn't build the hoist truck that they needed, an electric version of it. It would have to be a custom design, and the manufacturer couldn't get it, for the contract. And the second thing was, in order for us to charge it, it gets 100 miles to the charge.
Oh.
So the thing is, as soon as somebody turns on air conditioning or heat or puts on anything other than that goes down. I know everything there is to know about diesel fuels and usage and things like that too as well.
Yeah, it wasn't going to work in that form.
And they said, well, you can go to Flatlands Avenue and charge up every night if there's room.
From Coney Island, that's quite a distance.
So we need a commitment. Garbage isn't something that you can. It's not optional. It's something that must be done. So in order to preserve that aspect of it, that we actually give Coney Island, they get extra. We have our own garbage trucks. That's why we just actually we're finalizing getting 12 more. We have 3 and we're getting 12 more garbage trucks.
Mm.
That was a great idea about the Christmas trees. I love the smell of garbage trucks with Christmas trees in them. That's the only time it smells good.
That's the only time.
That's the only time it smells good. And there's something in the garage when they're filled with Christmas trees.
Mhm.
You know, they pick up the tree trucks and they go in the garage. There's just something
Mhm.
There's something special about that.
One of them has to do with infestation. Like I'm from Millbrook houses, so and I also have a community garden. A lot of times we get blamed for infestation when it's actually happening on the building. So the rats are coming out of the building and they're passing through the garden where people think it's us, but then it's like how do you go about like I know you could put a ticket, but this thing is happening outside. It is happening in different areas in the development. So it might be 530 coming from 530. They have holes there.
Yeah.
Also in 165 have holes there. And the rats are coming out. But then it's like how to pinpoint that and how to put a ticket when in actuality you only could go by observation. But we are getting blamed for rat stuff, but it's not really our fault.
So yeah, Millbrook is one of those areas that's in the neighborhood rat reduction program. So we actually do regular inspections of the boroughs and the public spaces there with the Department of Health. There's no blame. It's everybody. You know, everybody contributes to it. It's not that. Again, it's like going back to what I said. Like if the garden is really a problem, we will let you know. We'll try to work with you on how to like rat proof it a little bit. Maybe there's like a plant that's a real attraction for them. So like that. So we're happy to work with you on it. And you can let us know. When our pest teams and when our exclusion team is out there, we'll happily take a walk through with you.
The other one has to do with kind of like jurisdiction and who does what. Because when I started the garden, the gardening team was being switched. The process was being switched, so it's been kind of a little bit everywhere. But right now, there was a lot of weed growing in our garden, so then the manager said to cut it, right?
Yeah.
So, well, there was additional plants being put there because they're trying to do experiments with the ecology to do this competition and have different plants compete with each other and see what could grow there best.
Yeah.
But then we were not told by anybody that they were going to bring contractors, and then they took out almost a lot of plants that we put there, and they just got a weed whacker.
Can
We
you get
put that stuff there, and then it was more like who has jurisdiction, who's telling us what. Is it the property manager? Is it somebody else? Because there was a contractor that they said they went there and they just.
So can you get us that information? The contractor, can you send us the garden location, everything like that, and then we can follow up on that? So I don't know the specific. I wish I could tell you about every garden in NYCHA. I really wish I could, but I honestly don't know. So I will say, well, if you can get us where and when, we can follow up and see what that issue was.
I'm just going to give a small comment, not really a question. I think when it comes to the rat population and the gardens, if they're next to NYCHA places, they seem to have more rats. And obviously, because you've got a 16-story building that is probably infested with rats, that does happen a lot in NYCHA. And not only in NYCHA, sometimes the very old houses and buildings around have that also. At certain times of the season, the gardens are going to attract a rat now, because especially when the crops are developed, okay, I know that the rats are, fresh food. There's some fresh lettuce and fresh tomatoes there. Let me go grab them.
I mean, yeah.
That's fresh food for them. If I was a rat, I'd be going there too.
Listen, I mean, as we're talking about this, I just haven't a thought about why you have it there, but as a hungry guy right now, I mean, if there was a fresh fruit in front of me, I'd go there. So I get it. I do, it's not that they attract rats, but there is a condition of food. So that's why I would say, if you can send me that information, we can follow up not only on the piece about responsibility and any damage to the garden, but also maybe we can help you do some rat proofing in the garden to eliminate some of those issues.
Yeah, it was like, with contractors and vendors, it's a constant reminder that we have to tell these folks that people live here
Mhm.
and they need to talk to people. And, a lot of times you tell them to do a job and they're just going to do it, and they forget that, they're in somebody's home. They need to act like, that and respect it. But it's something that, whereas I think our staff has gotten better about it, contractors still, it's a constant learning thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, it's like a comment, not really a question. It's more, it got at the beginning got really confusing as to who has jurisdiction, because we were told that Green Thumb didn't have jurisdiction in NYCHA property. But now that I see this, it says that the Green Thumb could go there, so that created some confusion with Summer Gardens, because it said this is federal land and Green Thumb is a city program, and so there was some confusion about that, because we were not allowed to go to Green Thumb to actually get support. So it's okay. So it could be a question.
So I think that's one of those things that we can follow up on for you. Like we don't know the answer to that right now off the top of our heads, but let's get that information, and we will definitely follow up on if there's any jurisdictional issues or concerns there. We're happy to see if we can help you work through them.
And just to correct it technically, it's not federal land. It is land that's owned by nature,
Mhm.
and it is regulated, by HUD and funded by the federal government, but it is owned by nature, so
Right.
it's locally owned.
Yeah, so I don't know
It's
where
confusing,
that is,
but
right?
it's
Yeah,
There's a lot of challenges that come with it, and I'm sure there's a lot of legal jargon, but we can get you an answer.
Yeah. When this final one just has to do with NYCHA has all these different programs. We have the blueprint that came out.
Yeah.
We have RAD Pack Section 9, Section 8, and the infill. So although whatever you're doing here and all this stuff, applies all those programs, or are they different depending on the program?
So the programs are all very different. This is for NYCHA. This is NYCHA Section 9 program. Public housing, right? What we presented on today is the NYCHA specific stuff. We work with the partners in those other programs to implement a lot of this, the containerization and bulk pickup schedules and all that. But what we presented today is public housing NYCHA Section 9.
Section 9.
And just recently, we put on our website a scorecard for the RAD developments in terms of compliance areas like mold, lead, waste, all the things of nature, because we want to be consistent. We want to make sure that our policies are. So they don't have to have the same exact policy that we have, but they have to have something that addresses the issue. So it can't be that, no, we don't do anything in terms of waste, or we don't do anything in terms of mold or lead or anything like that. They have to have a plan that is presented to us and that we find acceptable.
Okay.
Yes, definitely, thank you, Chair. So thank you again to Brian and to the rest of the team. So you guys, I'd be very good. And why this is definitely important to us, because we have the largest portfolio in the borough of the Bronx of any NYCHA developments, and we will of course have a lot of NYCHA residents and leaders who are on board who see this is very important. And then again, like I said, for a whole bunch of reasons, to making sure that it don't only it definitely contributes to the quality of life the district. If you're a large landlord, if you're not keeping it clean, it's obvious. It's good to see that you're actually using the boroughs. We see that the boroughs are almost in every NYCHA development. When you do the scorecards, are you also determining whether or not the work you're doing in several different areas, whether it's sanitation, waste management part, or if it's pest mitigation or so on, if it's working?
I would say they go hand in hand. I was going to give you the technical answer, but they go hand in hand.
Right.
So we try not to treat them as separate. I mean, they're separate.
Sure.
work orders and operational departments, but we try to treat them hand in hand. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no.
You're
It
gonna
just,
give the right answer.
the same thing for the, to capitalize on also Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, other like Parks Department, because what we find out also is that there are our neighboring, our neighboring partners. You have you might have a school, you have NYCHA here, you have a school, you have parks, things like that. We have to go and talk to them, or we'll go to Kathleen Karate, who's the she's okay with being called the rat czar, by the way.
Yeah, very oddly accepting of it, by the way.
Yes.
Of all the names.
There are contributing factors, and we could talk about rodents and waste for another 10 hours. But it's trying to figure out the root cause, right? That sometimes it's neighboring. We've been at some developments that borders commercial properties, and their waste containers were substandard. They didn't have covers or tops or whatever.
So mitigating factors, and depending where the things are at, determines on whether or not there are extra elements that whether a situation is working or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Subways,
right.
things like that. There was I could give you a list that would go out the door.
I guess what I'm evaluating is, we have all been living in this community, have been part of NYCHA development, and NYCHA, depending on administrations, always have a project, a special project or initiative or so on that try. Sometimes it lasts 4 years, in other administrations it lasts 12 years, whatever it is. I'm just trying to determine whether or not we believe that in a large agency like NYCHA, where every dollar is important, do you use the factor of your report card system to determine if, given all the other mitigating factors, if a project or initiative is working, or do you try on some different pair of clothes at the at the end of the day? And how long does that, in internal policy, how long do you do the evaluation to make that determination?
Can I just, and then I'll lay it out. I think if you invited us here 6 years ago, we would have like a 5-minute presentation. But I think the biggest difference is the agreement that we signed with the federal government in 2019 that created a federal monitorship and also named waste and pests as one of the key areas that we have to have been. And Anthony, I've been around for a little while. We've been working together for a long time, and you're exactly right. Different agencies, different leadership make things a priority. And now what the difference is with the monitor and with the agreement, doesn't matter who's the chair, doesn't matter who's the CEO. They're working separately, and they're meeting every few weeks with the monitors team, and it's the monitors team, and it's the leadership at NYCHA, and it's Al's team that is, constantly thinking the different strategies in order to do this. Our strategy before used to be just throw around a lot of poison and hope it works. Sure, that's one strategy. It obviously didn't work. But now it is a combination of many different things. It is behavior. It is making sure that you're limiting trash as much as possible. It is looking at dry ice. It's mesh. It's the one thing I can tell you about these rats, they're smart as hell and they're resilient as anything. Exactly. So they will find a way. But Al probably could go on for another hour, and just the fact that the passion that this team too has for the work that they're doing, is incredible too. And we're also seeing more and more things. The biggest complaint I'm getting now in the Bronx is not rats anymore; it's raccoons. It's like, and that just tells you how things are changing. It's raccoons and possums.
The fight against the species. Right?
Yeah, right, exactly. So it's a lot. It's a lot, but it is the agreement and the monitorship. I think in a lot of ways, really was a blessing for NYCHA because it provides consistency. Leadership can come and go, but the priorities will remain the same. priorities remain, lead, mold, heat, waste, pests. Those would be our 5 priorities, no matter who has, the big job.
I want to add, or can I go to my next question?
Yeah, please go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Okay. So, and that's good to hear that there's stability and focus on issues around environmental justice and sanitation and different areas. And can you talk about, and then maybe your EVP had this piece and talk about it. What are you doing to use sustainable ideas, in energy and other ways to ensure that nature becomes greener as it moves forward to in the future? Like you said, that there's some things that are being focused on. I know that we're looking at mold, we're looking at lead, we're looking at a bunch of other things besides waste management, and to ensuring that that our developments for our children, the next generation of leaders, are being raised, and we know that all those things has a health possible health negative outcome for the residents. How are we making sure that NYCHA is using those sustainable energy ideas, whether it's coming from the federal government during the through the agreement to as we look at innovative ideas that are working in other parts of the country, etc. How is that? Besides some of the things we talked about today.
Sure. I mean, I think, right here in this community board, Jackson Houses is going to be the first public housing development in the entire country that's going to have a geothermal heating system, which is like incredible, and and we're really constantly trying to like push the envelope and looking. For the first time, we have a whole sustainability team that you just look at heat, there is, I don't use this term, but we've all heard it before. There was something, known as Project Heat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where, our strategy for providing heat was we would turn it on, and just pump it up all day. And by 8, 9 o'clock at night, it's 85, sometimes 90 degrees in people's apartments. And the only thing worse than no heat is too much heat, because it really affects your health. So now we've moved to a system called the BMS system, which regulates the heat at about 72 degrees. And so the boilers fire up, they get to 72 degrees, and then they shut down. Now that is a huge culture change, though, because if you always are used to like 85 degrees, and then all of a sudden you go down to 72 degrees, people start to panic. Right. So you really need a lot of resident engagement there. You need to really warn people. Like, you start to do it in the summer before the heating season starts. But we're now up to about 60 different developments of this, and I will tell you, the first winter it's a nightmare. The first winter we get people really literally start to go. By the second winter, people say, you know what, it's a lot more comfortable. And by the third,
windows open anymore.
And people, right, you don't see the windows open anymore. People say, you know what, I always felt a little bit more comfortable with a sweatshirt on anyway. If I feel a little, but you're not seeing people in, you're not knocking on people's doors and they're in shorts and they look like they're ready to play for the Celtics, but and the windows are open and it's December. Right. So things like that, having, more modern systems. The other challenge is, though, we have more modern systems, though, and we're cross-connecting, right? We're cross-connecting modern boilers with 1950s infrastructure. So you have this really modern boiler with the distribution system that is still from, and it causes some issues. Mm-hmm. So it is. We're trying to do things way more green. One of the things we're back on waste is another first of kind in this country. We're going to have the first at Polo Grounds. We're going to have the first pneumatic system in public housing, which means it will be a tube-based system for garbage. And it will require one staffer for the job of 10 people. And in terms of, so be less staff intensive, and that doesn't mean we're laying folks off. It just means they can do other stuff. But
those buildings are.
Yep. Yeah. And if you know Polo Grounds, it's about 30 stories high.
Yeah.
It's one of the largest developments, and it's also, though, has some of the most trash in any of the developments too. So, and again, they have this system on Roosevelt Island, I believe.
Yes.
It's the only other place in the city, but this will be the only place in public housing that has it. The other thing is now we're providing in certain developments, Woodside houses and Fort Independence here in the Bronx, where we have heating and cooling. And we have window systems now that do it. It's no longer based in the boilers. We have heat pumps, what they call, way greener. No, it's not using fossil fuels. So we're constantly thinking about it. In Queens, we have solar at Queensbridge houses. So we're thinking about how to do this, but we got to get to the 20th century, and then we'll get into the 21st century. But we're thinking about this.
Thank you, Chair. In the interest of time, I'm going to reserve my questions. So I'll always be writing. Brian and I are pen pals.
Yep.
So
Anytime.
We'll definitely reserve, but you understand. And thank you for recognizing how important environmental justice and sanitation, amongst versus a lot of other issues, are definitely important to this community board. Again, and to all of our leaders. And so I appreciate the time to come out. Thank you, Chair.
Anytime you invite us, we'll come back, and we know how important it is to this board. So,
Thank you for
Thank
presenting.
you.
Thanks so much.
We
all the
appreciate it.
answers.
Very informative indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Good having you.
So we're adjourned. We're adjourned.
Okay.
I was not sure, but I gotta go.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Adjourn.
All in
Great.
favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure, man. You got a whole lot of work ahead of you.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
Oh, wow. TV used to work